Alright. Next, we have the Klutzy Klats Monitor and the Girl with the Short Skirt. That is a mouthful of a title. Looks like it's going to be some kind of comedy, I bet. Haven't really heard a lot of people talking about it, but, I don't know. Let's see what it's about.
Well, how about that? We got a third unexpected finish from the season. Hot damn. Just finished up, what's it? The Klutzy Class Monitor and the Girl with the Short Skirt. I'm not calling it that. I'm calling it Ponska. Also, God, there was another show with the word klutzy in the title, and it also had the same problem of not the character not being klutzy. It was more so that he was awkward. And that's basically the same thing with this show. There's gotta be something going on with the translation. It has to be this has to be something mandated by the Japanese side of things, because no, that's not what klutzy means. But anyway, this is a fun little school rom-com about a super straight-laced dude and just a very laid-back, sort of gyaru type girl who, sort of an enemies to lovers plotline here. They start off, she starts off hating his fucking guts, and he is just being absolutely, like, proper and strict with the rules and everything, but also he's so incredibly honest about stuff that he can't help complimenting her when she does something cute or upstanding or all of that kind of stuff. And so the feelings start to snowball from there. And it's just a generally very fun and cute series. Occasionally the jokes don't quite work, and it feels like it stretches on for a little too long, in particular with some of the other side characters. But the core of it is pretty dang solid. I really enjoy the chemistry amongst the entire core cast of everyone, especially this growing relationship dynamic between Poem, our lead girl, and Toga, our lead guy, and just the way that she doesn't really change over the course of the series, because she's kind of already sort of a well-formed person when it starts. The only thing that she really struggles with is just like the general like awkward embarrassment of a first romance and stuff. It's much more so Toga that goes. Is Toga or Togo? You know me, I'm really terrible with names for stuff, so I'm just going to quickly open my phone and go to the mail page for this one. Togo. Yeah, Togo. But yes, in terms of character growth, it's much more so him learning to not be quite as strict and absolutely by the book about fucking everything, and learning that there is there is a lot of complexity to human emotions and human interactions that you're going to miss out on by just doing everything completely as dictated by like school regulations and such. And that's sort of a general theme with this series, as well as just this theme of like compromise, like being able to meet people halfway on things and just stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit for the people that you care about in order to strengthen your bonds with them, be they romantic or friendship or whatever it might be. It's pretty tried and true theme that works really well with this series in particular. And hey, we got an actual couple out of this series before the end of this season. I think it's episode 8, we get the confession, and then episode 9 is when they're like, yeah, let's start dating. And then they have this sort of a little bit of a rocky start of sorts in some areas, in terms of learning to compromise with each other and figuring out just the best way to go about resolving interpersonal issues between them, related to their personalities. Again, mostly in relation to Togo being uber strict about stuff. It's very cute and fun, and I like it. This show is generally just very cute and fluffy with its romantic moments, with its comedic moments, just with its character building moments. This is just a nice, fun little low stakes rom-com that also looks really damn good. I should mention this is by Studio Zero G, which is, I remember when Zero G first formed, they I remember them coming to existence with that show Battery from 2016. I think that might have actually been the first season, from the first season when I started trying out everything, I think. And yet somehow, and they've made so many shows since then, and this is the first show from that studio that I've actually finished. They're generally not a good studio, and this looks so completely unlike everything else they've made. It's hyper vibrant and extremely colorful. The saturation on the colors is really pushed to the extreme, and it makes everything just... sorry, I've been yawning so much. It's very late. But I wanted to finish this before going to bed. It's just the color design is so saturated, it makes everything pop. Especially with the blue of the sky and sort of the pinks and reds of clothing and blushing characters and stuff. It's a very energetic series as well. A lot of movement, a lot of quick cuts, a lot of very funny character animations and such. This is just a generally really solid series. I looked up the director, and he really hasn't done a lot. He was the chief director for the Tri-Cornered Window series that I was not a fan of. I can kind of see, if I recall correctly, some of that artistic direction coming over into this series, but that was a completely different show with a completely different tone, so who knows for sure. But I really liked how this would look. The character designs are fucking great. Poem is super cute, and Togo basically looks like he kind of looks like Mob's brother. I forget, Mob from Mob Psycho. He looks like Shigeo's brother, whose name I forgot, but slightly older, I guess, or just slightly more general anime vibes instead of the one style of character designs. Still very distinctive. Pretty much all the characters are very fun to gaze upon. And again, some of the gags are a little too they start to border on being a little too annoying at times, in particular with like the library committee guy being just a little too abrasive, and the student council vice president as well, voiced by Tetsuya Naida, by the way. He's doing his best retake of Gamagori from Kill la Kill. Very much the same vibe. This big gorilla-looking dude with Tetsuya Naida voice. But yeah, I really don't have a whole lot else to say other than this is just a very fun, vibrant series that's very peppy and high energy with a cute, cute romance in it. I like this.
Alright. Klutzy class monitor is complete. And we're gonna put you right under here in the number 15 spot with a decent 7. That show was good. Okay, so next. I made friends with the second prettiest girl in my class. God, I hate that fucking title so much. And I'm trying not let it affect my opinion of the anime. So let's give it a go.
I don't know what people get out of shows like this other than raw wish fulfillment. I really don't. Like, I got 3/4 of the way, I think, through the first episode of I made friends with the second prettiest girl in class. God, I hate that fucking title. I really hate it. It's so bad. It's so, and also this show is so boring. It's so unbelievably fucking boring. Goddamn, nothing interesting happens. It's just, like, you could argue that the MC has some potential, and that he's, like, just a little bit more nervous than your typical light novel MC. And the fact that he likes, like, B-movies is something. Not a lot, but it's something. But the dialogue is either completely fucking boring or so stilted and unnatural that you couldn't possibly believe that people would talk like this. I don't know what people get out of shows like this. This I put in the same camp as stuff like, Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian. I didn't watch a lot of it, but I'm going to guess Chitose in the Ramune Bottle is something like this. Maybe. I'm tempted to throw Bunny Senpai into this, but Bunny Senpai has like a slightly supernatural bend to it, I think. So not quite. But like the decently well produced schmuck dude hangs out with a hot girl school rom-com light novel thing anime. It feels so artificial and lame. I can't. I just can't. And you know what? It is decently well produced. I don't think the character designs are super memorable, and I kind of don't like the way they overemphasize the lips for the female characters. But it's not bad looking. There's some decent cuts of animation here and there. But boy, I could not give a flying fuck about anything that's happening. It's so rote and bland, and I don't like it.
Yep, did not like that. No. Just gonna go ahead and take that off the list. Next. Gals Can't Be Kind to Otaku? Oh boy, another title that I fucking hate. Yeah, sure, man. Whatever. Let's give it a go.
You know, sometimes I just want internal monologues to, like, make sense. It's a weird thing to lead off on, but that's, like, the most notable thing I've noticed about this show so far. I got 2.5 minutes into what the fuck. Gals can't be kind to otaku. Roll my fucking eyes. The way that this guy internal monologues. Now, granted, I've only ever heard my own internal monologue, but he's saying things as if he's explaining them to somebody. Not like he's thinking about a thing, and the way that his thought pattern is structured is as if he's explaining it to someone. He's not thinking about it as if he's just thinking about it, you know? Like, it's so jarring and also kind of boring because he's just going on about fake nerd shit. Like, the anime that he's obsessed with is basically a combination of Pokemon and Precure. There's a line that's like, where he goes like, but it's actually like known for being like kind of dark and deep and stuff, but you don't actually see any visuals paired with that to convey that idea. So like, if this is an internal monologue, you would see those moments, right? You would see those moments flashing through his mind. So it just completely breaks the illusion of this being someone's internal monologue. And then it keeps happening. Like when the two Gyarus start talking to him, he starts internal monologuing about brief descriptions of them in a way as if he's explaining it to another person and not as if he's thinking it. And it's so very frustrating and dumb and stupid, and I think it's bad. Oh, fuck. I like the character designs, I can say that much. Vaguely reminds me of Akebi-chan for some reason. The Gyarus are cute. I think I can figure out what the point of this show is from the title. Gals can't be kind to otaku. Oh, but these gals, they are kind to otaku. But so maybe it is possible. Oh my god. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, that was kind of lame. No, we're gonna gals can't be kind to otaku off the list. Okay, what's next? My Ribdiculous Reincarnation. Well, I don't hate the title. I'm just immensely confused as to what it could possibly fucking be. It's obviously an isekai. What the fuck does Ribdiculous mean? Is it like a cooking show? I guess we're about to find out.
You know, there have been a lot of anime this season that I guess I would say intrigued me, but I didn't, quote unquote, like, if that makes any sense. And this is one of them. I got through 2 episodes of my Ribdiculous adventure. This should have just been an OVA, like a 1 episode OVA, I think. Because the sheer bizarreness of the presentation and of the obscene lengths that this insane, basically parody of an isekai goes to in its first episode is mildly fun. The Ribdiculous comes from the fact that in the first episode, the main character reincarnates is as one of the ribs of the hero of a story. And unbelievably bizarre shit happens from there. Bizarre to the point where it's just kind of to where it's just like fascinating to follow. And so then after that, it's essentially like, okay, so this is just going to be like a variety show isekai kind of thing. Or not a variety show, but like a variety isekai where it's like each new segment is going to be him reincarnating into a different world as a different thing. And in the second episode, the first half he's a hermit crab, and the second half he's the door to the Demon King's castle. Well, actually, he's the door to the Demon King's, like, throne room, technically. And the art styles keep shifting, which, like, good on them. Asterisk, we'll get to the asterisk at the very end of this, because I can't necessarily prove it, but we'll get to it. Good on them for trying a bunch of different art styles, but they're not good. Like, the Hermit Crab one was real basic and just not interesting to look at all in any way. It's not even like traditional anime. It's not like traditional animation. It's like these little... I don't know what you would describe that art style as. If you know what that art style is for episode 2, for the episode 2 isekai segment for the Hermit Crab thing, let me know. And then the B part as the door, he's like, it's like stop motion claymation, but it's not really. It's like a computer animated version of it. It's very clearly not actually claymation, but it's trying to imitate the style. It's not good at it, but it's trying to imitate the style. And I'll give credit for just making the main character a idiot, happy pervert. That makes the adventures very funny. Well, it makes the adventures not... What's the word? It makes them... what's the word I'm looking for? Easy to digest, I guess, because he's just sort of, in a sense, he's really not injecting a lot of personality into the story. So on the one hand, it makes them very easy to digest for their ridiculousness, but on the other hand, it also makes them completely disposable. So, which I think is kind of the point, but also I don't really like things that are disposable. So, also, there was something in the BGM for the B part of episode 2. There was just this beeping sound that popped up occasionally that really bothered me. And I don't know why it was there. It was weird. So, and the goddess character is cute and is sort of a I like the basis of her personality. She's good for punchlines, but that's about it. But yeah, it's more fascinating than fun, and I have no confidence that the art style will get any better, especially because I'm going to preface this by saying I don't have proof of this. However, one of the animation studios behind this is Qzilla. And if you've heard that name before, you've probably heard it from one of two places. One, they're one of the studios working on the Sekiro anime, which had a lot of controversy bubble up around it because, two, Qzilla is known for being very heavily invested in AI tools. And just general internet tech scams. Like, they were one of the studios that made Enter the Garden, which was an ONA that was just a promotional video for crypto. So this is an extremely shady company. I think I briefly mentioned them when I talked about, how do you pronounce it? Champignon Witch, where some of the animation looked a little wonky in that. And so I can't prove it. But there are a lot of things in this where I'm like, that moved really weird, or that looks kinda off. I'm not saying they used AI on this. I'm not saying they didn't. Kind of irresponsible for me to say that, but this studio is shady as fuck, so I really don't trust them. Regardless of that, I wouldn't really call this enjoyable. I would call this slop being fed into my brain. Regardless of whether this was made with AI or not, it feels like slop. And I don't really want to watch slop.
Alright, that was certainly an effort of sorts, but Ribdiculous Reincarnation is off the list. Next, Pardon the Intrusion, I'm Home. I saw the key visual for this one. It looks like some kind of romance series. Can't really speculate on anything else. So let's just jump into it.
This one's just kind of awkwardly put together in some kind of subtle ways, but in ways that bother me specifically. One, it's the editing is a little too slow at times. Like, there's a lot of space in places where there normally isn't. I'm not saying there needs to be space there, but it does make the timing of some of the dialogue a little awkward. And there's also a lot of space in the sense of like negative space. Like, there's a lot of openness to a lot of the shots that feels awkward. Like, if you don't know what negative space is, it's essentially, if you look at a frame, like a picture or any given frame of a film or a TV series or something, and it's the space between, like, objects within the frame. That's a bad way of explaining it. I'm not as good at explaining it as I thought I was going to be when I started that definition, but there are a lot of shots in this where it's like the main character, a bunch of space, and then the clutter that's in the background, or other characters, or stuff like that. And it just looks weird. Now, normally, when there's a lot of negative space, it means something. Like, either there's a hollowness to the character's life, or they feel distant from people, but that doesn't seem to be the intent here. It's like a lot of these shots just seem like they are awkwardly put together. Aside from that, this one's just a pretty generic, looks like it's gonna be a rom-com. Love triangle, probably. All the designs are pretty generic. Oh, that's another thing. There's a fake anime in this, and honestly, the designs are bad. The designs for this fake anime are bad. And I don't know why they would use it as like the show that's popular. You know? Like, not in the sense of like, oh, it's over-designed, or like it's too this or too that. It's like, these are just like really awkward and weird designs. I don't like them. I really don't like how a lot of this show works. It's just very awkward and weird looking. And it's also just, boy, it really takes a while to get going. I am just, yeah, it's just not interesting.
Yeah, not the right vibe for me with this one. Pardon the Intrusion is off the list. Next, Komekami Girls. Couldn't possibly think of what it could be about. Probably a comedy. I don't know. Let's see.
Oh my god, that is some of the worst editing that I have ever seen in my entire life. It's bad. It's really fucking bad. Cutting too early, cutting too late, lots of just stagnant shots, like nearly full seconds of waiting for somebody to talk before, like, at the start of a cut. Like, these are things you don't notice until they're done poorly. And boy, are they done poorly here. I'm not kidding, this is one of the worst edited things I've ever seen. And also, animation sucks shit, too. Like, it opens on, like, a close-up of a girl running barefoot. But the walk cycle looks so weird. Like, normally you just, like, it's right, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. And obviously there's more steps to the walk cycle than that. But, and it's it's like, they did like left foot, right foot, and then there was some third action that happened behind the frame. And then the cycle repeated. It was so weird and bad and awkward. Oh my god, I don't know. There are 3 producers attached to this. How does that happen? What? Who? You should all be fired. I'm gonna be honest. Anybody who was a producer on this project should be fired. Jesus Christ.
Nope. You're off the list. Okay. Go for it, Nakamura-kun. Okay, I read the manga for this a while ago. And I know that the anime adaptation has sort of been like fleshing things out a little bit from what I've heard. So hopefully this is an adaptation that I end up enjoying. My BL knowledge is very slim, so let's see if I can add to it.
Okay, I think I've figured out why I am not vibing with this adaptation. Unfortunately, I got an episode and a half into Go For It Nakamura, which is a series that I have read already. This is actually the first BL series that I ever read. And it's a good starting point. You should check it out. As for the anime, here's the thing about this series, is the chapters in Go For It Nakamura are very short. Like, I'm talking like 8 pages per chapter. And the anime seems to be adapting roughly 2 chapters per episode. which is pretty normal in terms of chapters, normal length for an episode, but in terms of page count, that's about roughly 2/3 to half of what an episode would Actually, no, that's way less, actually. It's like less than half of what your typical anime episode would adapt. So what the anime does is it just embellishes and fleshes out the scenarios, and also adds in new scenarios, I believe, because I was rereading this to see why I didn't vibe with the anime, and I'm pretty sure the cockroach section, like episode 2A, the cockroach story, is anime original, I think. Maybe, or maybe I've just forgotten about it and it's further on in the manga and they just brought it around to the beginning. Or maybe it's in the second volume, which I also read, but I didn't bother to bring with me for this recording. But in any case, they have to really stretch out these stories. And what that does is it turns what starts as sort of very fast-paced, quick, easy-to-digest stories into very measured and easygoing, slower-paced stories. If that sounds like something you would like, then you'll probably like this adaptation. But, boy, it's way too slow moving for my liking. I'm not talking about like the plot progression or anything. I've only gotten an episode and a half in. I'm talking about the like actual pacing from like cut to cut and scene to scene and stuff like that. It is moving very leisurely, and it's doing that intentionally because it kind of has to. Like, even if you were to adapt both volumes of Go For It Nakamura, that's only 2 volumes of content, which is probably, if we're going by typical manga standards, that's like 8, maybe 9 episodes. And this is 13. So I don't know if there's a 3rd volume or not that just hasn't been released in the US, but I don't think there is. But still, it would be, you'd have to do it like Takagi-san style. Like the first season of Takagi-san, where it's like 4 to 5 stories per episode. And even then, like, first season of Takagi-san was somewhat rough in terms of like the pacing. So I can understand the logic behind being like, okay, we're gonna just flesh out these stories. But what it does is it just is the quick-paced comedy is just completely gone for the most part. It's the setups take much longer. It's the whole scenario takes much longer, and so it's not a quick watch at all. Like, honestly, I was getting bored. I was pausing the episode multiple times to play with my phone. I simply do not... I understand what the motivation was behind this, adapting it this way. I'm just not a fan of it. I think it was the wrong choice. If you were to ask me how would you adapt Go For It Nakamura, I would say TV shorts. I would say like 8-minute episodes to cover each chapter. Maybe like 16 minutes and you put two chapters in an episode. Maybe not even that long. Like maybe like 13 minutes. Because the way they're doing it now, I'm just not a fan of. And it's kind of a shame because it's not a bad looking adaptation. It's pretty solid. There's a lot of interesting mixed media going on. Surprisingly, the cockroach episode was actually my favorite the cockroach segment was my favorite from what I watched, which might be, lean in or support my notion that that's an anime original story, because that would mean like, okay, they're not stretching out a chapter into a half an episode. They're just building a scenario from the ground up, and that's why it's paced better. It's still not paced perfectly, but it's paced a lot better than the two stories from the first episode and the second half of the second episode, which I did not finish because it was so slow. And it's decently well animated. Character designs are really good. Hirose is very cute. That's kind of the reason why it's one of the reasons why I like Nakamura as a BL manga, I guess, is the love interest is cute. Yeah, it works. And color design's solid. It's framed pretty well. It's just, I don't like how it's paced. It's just too slow for my liking.
Okay, well, definitely a disappointment there, but what are you going to do? Go for it, Nakamura is off the list. And now it's time for another end cap. Zombieland Saga movie, Yumeginga Paradise. I know Yamada Tai is the big focus for this movie, and also there might be aliens based on the ending of season 2. This just dropped on Crunchyroll very recently, so at least I won't have to watch it on my shitty-ass laptop or on my PC. I fucking really like Zombieland Saga. Hopefully this movie continues that trend of me liking this show. Let's give it a go.
Alright. The Zombieland Saga conclusion is finally in the books. Probably. I don't see much coming out after this. Yumeginga Paradise, the movie. I think it's been like, 4 years since season 2? I don't remember how long ago season 2 was. I do remember that I watched season 1. I rewatched season 1 in the lead up to season 2. And season 1 actually was my first idol anime as well, so it's nice to see this finally get to see season 2's massive cliffhanger get a conclusion like this. Overall, this was, weirdly enough, it was a little bit more and a little bit less than what I was hoping for, if that makes any sense. Let's talk about some of the good stuff. Firstly, this might be the best, just most consistently good looking that Zombieland Saga has ever looked. Because, there was always, a little bit of jank to the series overall. It definitely cleaned up a bit in season 2, but there was still some stuff there. This one, for the most part, with some exceptions, it earned it being a movie. Let's put it that way. There was a noticeable upgrade in the animation quality, in particular in the fact that there were a lot of action set pieces in this one, and they all looked really good. There was some really strong action directing in this one. A lot of really fun action cuts that just looked really damn cool. This is, in addition to being a comedy film, this is also a bit, we've added in a lot more action to the mix now, with this having an alien invasion plot to it. And it does the action really well. I don't really have any complaints on that front. In contrast, this movie is also missing something. And the thing that it's missing, which I realized about 3/4 of the way through the film, was they don't really do a lot of idol stuff. They have a concert at the very beginning, and then they have a concert at the very end, and the middle is like them having strong friendships as these idols brought together in this weird ass zombie circumstance. But for the most part, it's just plot all the way through, like the alien plot. And so there's not a lot of idol stuff in it, which is one of the things that you come to an idol series for. Like, I don't remember a lot of the plot to Zombieland Saga. I remember the episodic stuff about them getting into idol hijinks and the character moments that relate to them being idols and how that feeds into like who they are and why they are doing what they're doing. And we don't really get a lot of that in this movie, despite the fact that we're finally giving Yamada Tai the focus that she needs. Like, this is through weird alien shenanigans, she ends up finally regaining her memories and her ability to speak. And she is a fun character to follow, a little overly serious at times, but I think that adds a nice dynamic to the mix. And, like, I don't really have complaints about her as a character other than the fact that they hint at some backstory for her, but they don't really tell you any of it. Like, there's this thing about how she was essentially trained to save Saga, but we don't know from what or by who or any of that really. Maybe it's sequel baiting? I highly doubt it, because she goes back to being like semi-brain dead at the end of the movie. So I think her arc is pretty much wrapped up. So they kind of just threw that out there and didn't really answer anything. So that's weird. But on the whole, I did really enjoy this movie, though. It is just, it's very tropey. It's very much relying on a lot of references, both for comedic purposes and for plot purposes and for narrative and like character-centric purposes. But it's not like a bad kind of predictable. It's like oh yeah, the plot has to go in this direction now, and I'm enjoying the micro bits of the writing, like the small little details added in here and there that make it fun, like Saki almost killing everybody with a laser bazooka because she accidentally pointed it backwards. Fun stuff. Also, I think they were doing a Predator reference with the fact that the aliens see infrared, and so everybody covers themselves in mud. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be a Predator reference. It's an older reference, sir, but it checks out. I have not seen Predator in probably 20 years at this point, to be honest. Like, almost 20 years. I hope it holds up. I'm sure it holds up. It's fucking Predator. But, yeah, I was also, like, kind of taken aback by how normal the aliens are, I guess, in terms of, like, them being, like, they are just action movie aliens. They're not like little green men or grays or anything, and they don't talk, so they don't really interact with the rest of the cast other than to like attack them. So on the one hand, it makes for a good action plot, But on the other hand, see, the thing about this movie is, like, there's a point at which I was constantly going back and forth between, is it playing this too straight, or am I just used to this level of weirdness at this point? Because it's like, yes, the aliens are just regular alien invaders, and they don't have, like, anything special to them at all. But also there's a scene where Yamada Tai is flying up to the alien spaceship in a hot air balloon while wearing a spacesuit, which is wacky. Like, there's a scene where all the rest of Fred Shushu overshoots the alien mothership in a hot air balloon shaped like Romero, the dog, and they go all the way out into the atmosphere, and so they have to skydive back down onto the ship. So, like, it's real give and take, I guess. Like, sometimes the wackiness shines through, but other times it's just sort of like, oh, we're just doing, like, an action movie now. I guess that works. So, yeah, oh, and also, I'm kind of disappointed in the lack of idol stuff, because we don't, like, we get more songs. You can hear them playing in the background, but they're not performances. So I was a little disappointed by that. Speaking of which, the performances, like, half of them are the CG that you expect from Zombieland Saga, but then also half of them are just 2D, which is weird because there's only 3 performances, and, like, the last one is, like, they keep switching back and forth between CG and, like, 2D animation, so it's a little weird. But and the 2D is actually really solid. Like, the first performance right at the start is it's all 2D, and it looks really fucking good. And that had me going like, oh cool, we're actually gonna get, like, the, like, 2D idol performances for this. This is gonna be cool. And then there were no performances for an hour and a half, and then in the last 10 minutes we got 2 songs back to back. The first one was full CG, and the second one started flipping back and forth. So it's like, I'm very torn on this movie. Ultimately, I think it's really solid, and I think it's a good end to Zombieland Saga, but I also don't think it's as strong as season 2. I simply don't. It does not have nearly as much heart behind it. It's not as interesting, and it lacks the idol stuff. So it's good. You should watch it, but yeah, I also do think it's probably better than season 1, because season 1 had a lot of weirdness to it and a lot of cringe humor that I was not a fan of. But, like, so it's better than season 1, not better than season 2. So it's just kind of in the middle there of, like, yeah, it's a good ending, but I do wish it had, like, a little bit more to it.
Okay, Zombieland Saga movie is complete. And we're going to put you, where did I say? Yeah, we're going to put you in the number 11 spot. And you're getting a strong 7. Again, still really solid stuff, but I do wish it had just a little bit more spice and a little bit more weirdness. And also more idol stuff. Yeah, I just wish it had a little bit more.